Welcome back, YouTube. So let's talk about what's going on today in the market and how it relates to Dogecoin. Pretty much Dogecoin tested its resistance lines today and even dropped down to around 15 cents, like a low 15-cent range briefly. Not just Dogecoin, but the overall stock market and other cryptos as well. But in this video, we're going to get into why this is happening and kind of what we can expect going forward. Primarily, I want to discuss whether or not we should buy right now or if it's possible to get even better pricing later down the road. Now, I'm going to kick this off with a tweet that Elon said on roughly like December 30th of last year. And I wanted to, because technically I was working on a separate video, like the same day when this came out, and I was going to take it like a different direction. But because this is happening relatively quickly, I thought I would have had like at least like another week. But because this is happening relatively quickly, we're going to dive into some of it today. And pretty much here he's saying that if history is any guide, not many will make it past the next recession. So quite naturally, you'll be like, okay, when do you think that will be? And he said, predicting macroeconomics is challenging to say the least, but my gut feel is maybe around spring or summer 2022, but not later than 2023. So as far as for us, that gives us pretty much a few months to get ready as far as to have a mass contraction of the economy. So, and when you have stuff like this, technically you're going to have like money is going to get really tight. I'm going to dive into this first because I want everybody to get the bigger picture, and then I'm going to zone in on Dogecoin and show you how all this relates. So zoning out, we know that we've had record inflation overall throughout the economy. We know that this is some of the highest inflation we've seen within like the last 30 years. And so we know primarily, we had the pandemic. And so a lot of government intervention has been going on. So pretty much over like the last couple of years, the economy has been propped up by the United States government. And as we know, as if you do any due diligence in the crypto market, you know that they've been heavily involved in our markets. That's in the stock market, and as most of us believe, in the crypto sector as well. So I'm going to read like a little bit here from the Bears report, and they're pretty much saying that most of the information was known, that some of the members wanted to start to reduce the Fed's $8.5 trillion balance sheet. It's now not entirely clear just how aggressive the Fed will be removing support from markets and the economy. For most of the pandemic era, the Fed was ultra dovish and with its policy and supportive of market spending in the economy. Now it's turning hawkish, which feels like uncharted territory for investors. So what does this mean in the long term? Well, so basically we've had something, you can call it basically like quantitative easing, which is like QE. And so pretty much you'll see, and if you really think about it, it didn't make sense anyway, because on one sector you'll see, and I mentioned this the other day in my video, you'll see record numbers as far as for saying, oh my God, people are not going to work. People are demanding higher wages, or people are making more money on unemployment than they are going back to work. And then, but somehow nobody's working, right? And everybody's making more money, and the housing market and everything is going through the roof. This mathematically does not add up. So you know that money is not coming from the private sector, the retail sector. This is the government injecting that money. And so when you make it rain money from heaven, you're going to have inflation for the goods, because you're going to have more dollars chasing the same amount of goods. So the economy is going to have to absorb those dollars. So basically they're saying that, and after pretty much they were forced to admit that inflation wasn't going to be transitory, they're going to have to tighten money up so that the economy can actually have a chance to absorb the money versus injecting cash in markets and bonds and stuff like that. So what does this mean for investors? Well, for investors, this means that there's a great deal of uncertainty in the market, because we don't know, you know that the government is involved as far as for buying bonds and involved in the private sectors and via banks and stuff like that. They have their incentives, and they do these investments, but you don't know necessarily where the money is going to get pulled out from. And you can say, okay, well, if I'm in Bitcoin and I believe that Bitcoin is heavily invested by institutions and they say the money is getting tight, that's an indicator that Bitcoin may be getting ready to go through the floor. And in that case, if Bitcoin is about to go through the floor, then you know the entire crypto market is going to go through the floor. And the same thing with stocks. And you know that this technically causes panic. And they're saying that, okay, well, while we've had record profits, while the stock market has continuously trended upward, we need to be taking some profit now, if not all of it, to kind of protect ourselves so that we can allow this to kind of smooth out. There's no reason for us to stay in here. We're in the green. let's take that out. We don't know how long this is going to last, what's going to happen with the inflation. Let's get our money out and kind of ride this wave out and let things settle before we come back into the markets. This is usually the approach when things like this happen. So, and technically speaking, that leads to, especially for new investors, that's going to lead to mass frustration and saying that, the crypto market or stock market is not working, and they end up selling at major losses. And then, of course, the institutions and everybody, they buy back in at record lows and make a fortune. This is literally, in my opinion, because I know why technically why they're doing it. But when they do these types of tactics, to me, it's kind of like fleshing like the market out, because I know that they're going to buy back in, especially their favorite positions, and they're going to literally make a fortune. And also, if you've been paying attention to Forbes, you'll know that they even had a prediction that, yes, Bitcoin will see six figures, multiple six figures. They're predicting around $250,000 a coin by 2025. But they're thinking before then, so sometime sooner than later, Bitcoin is going to bottom out at around $20,000. So when you have these types of predictions, you have to ask yourself, okay, so what's going to happen to the crypto market? Am I prepared for that? And what's going to happen to coins such as like Dogecoin? And, it's one of those situations where, okay, if I buy the dip here, will it keep on dipping? And we're going to look here at the charts because I wanted to go over this with you so that we can kind of see roughly where we are for the year. So year to date, again, nothing dramatic has happened. Technically, I know we want to be like around that 16 cents mark, but Dogecoin is not going to go on like a solo run to like the moon or something like that without some major catalysts and stuff like that. And again, we have an opportunity for that coming up, but we also have like this dark cloud of uncertainty in the economy. So, and when it comes down to buying and increasing your coin count, that primarily is going to lie in whether or not you are long-term or short-term in the coin, because a lot of these coins are going to suffer greatly, like these baby Rottweilers and big this and all that kind of stuff. Like a lot of these knockoff coins, they're going to suffer greatly when this vacuum of money comes out of the market, because when the Fed says they're going to literally start restricting cash and stuff like that, normally this is the point where massive fear takes over and institutions start taking profits. So the ones that they're heavily invested in, you can expect money to literally run out of the market. And this aligns with what Elon said earlier. Now for Dogecoin, I mentioned this a few months ago, but if we get a break to the downside, so which means massive money coming out, massive fears in the market, based off of the historic ranges, you can expect that break. The first line of resistance, as far as for it being oversold and just having people come in, you can expect that historically based off of those percentages at around 12%. But the actual next support line that we have here is around the 5 to 6 cents range. Now, as I've mentioned many times before, I am long Dogecoin. I believe Dogecoin is going to be fine in the long term. I'm also long Bitcoin. I'm long Ethereum. I know for me, if this does go left relatively quickly, I would love to see a 6 cent Dogecoin and a $20,000 Bitcoin. That's just me, because I know the importance of coin count, and I believe that long term, I don't believe these coins are going anywhere. So ideally for me, I try to make sure that I'm covered either way, just in case, okay, well, if this becomes something like a stable coin in the meantime, as this storm kind of blows over and we just trend sideways, or if we get a break to the downside, I can increase my coin count very aggressively. But in short, it basically changes nothing. It just gives me it gives me an opportunity. If it does get a breakdown to the downside, it gives me an opportunity to make more money and increase my investment at better prices. But it actually changes nothing. The best thing here is the classic advice of don't try and time the market, it's time in market. And I know that as a culture and as a lot of the new investors come in, that's specifically what most people have been trying to do, which is time the market. And you have these situations right here where when as Warren Buffett says, when the tide goes out, you see who's swimming naked. And you have like these shorts and all these types of things coming in. So you're going to see who is who and who's like these actual investors and stuff like that when these turbulent times actually come. If this cloud does kind of like hang around for a bit, and it looks like it looks like it has the opportunity to. So we'll see how the crypto market and the stock market kind of weather these storms. It's one of the reasons why I've always made videos giving you the numbers on either side, because I know that it's really popular and it's cool to be like, there's a huge boom coming and, this is going to do, Dogecoin's about to rocket and stuff like that. I know it's popular to make those videos, but when you actually look at the economy, you have to talk about the break to the downside, because otherwise you're selling information that you're not painting the complete picture. Will Dogecoin get a break to the downside? It's hard to say. This resistance level here has been relatively strong despite what's been going on. And I do expect, as if it did break down lower, I do expect the people that are long in it to be aggressive buyers. So it may only be down for a very short term. I don't see it going like below a penny or something like that, regardless of what happens. I think people will, and people like me and stuff like that will certainly be increasing our coin counts, especially if we can get some of those January and February prices from last year, because there's nothing more I would like to see than for, technically it would be very beneficial financially for us to revisit those prices and then have like those similar gains again. Like it's kind of like getting a second chance, but that's just me. But again, there's no way to know that, your guess is as good as mine. But when you look at the charts and stuff, it does say that we have those resistance levels historically at 12 cents and at 6 cents. So you just need to decide are you long term or you're short term, and how you're going to play the coin going forward. And just literally, if you haven't been averaging down, this is, if we do get a break to the downside, that'll be a golden opportunity for you to almost, I don't like to use the word guarantee profits, but that will give you a great opportunity to realize some amazing gains, in my opinion. But all in all, this is a part of the cycles. This happens periodically, and people have an opportunity to literally, like, it's almost like a reset on the stock market. So we don't know how bad this is going to be just yet, or how much because we know that I think the government injection was around, like, I think it said the balance sheet was like 5.8 trillion. So we don't know how aggressively they're going to come down, or if they're just going to abruptly stop it. And then we're looking at, I think, like March or April for this, but it does put it out there and give us some time to actually prepare and decide what we're going to be doing with our portfolios, because not just in Dogecoin, but any of the coins and stocks that you're interested in, if we get those breaks to the downside, that's an opportunity for you to increase your Dogecoin, your Bitcoin, your Apple, your Amazon, whatever, anything that you're bullish in. These are great times to increase those prices, because when you see something and if you believe something's going to be bigger, better, and stronger in 5 years, 10 years, and you have the opportunity to get it at record lows and prices that you haven't seen for years, that's a great opportunity to increase your wealth. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you'd like to hear more from me, please consider subscribing. I welcome you to the channel. You can always change your mind later. And also like the video. It helps YouTube share it with additional members, so we're growing in numbers and in knowledge together. And don't forget about BlockFi. If you open an account with them, you can get up to $250, including in Bitcoin and Ethereum. I appreciate all of you. Thank you. And until next time.